Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, he's the yin to my yang, the Beavis to my butthead. It's Justin Hausman!
There is shit. I am Beavis.
I thought I was actually. You have a lower voice than me.
I have a lower voice than
I'm
you.
probably more Beavis.
Yeah, but I'm Beavis. Butthead kind of ran the program, didn't he? And Beavis just kind of.
He definitely felt like more.
Beavis just kind of poked his head in with like something stupid to say, and I hate to say it, but that is kind of me. Really loved that show, Colin.
Yeah. So the listener who wrote in left us a review, which we appreciate, and it sounds like we frustrate this person. Called us Beavis and Butthead, but also that said that he likes listening to the show and keeps listening to the show. I think you may have crossed the line a little bit, though. You're questioning our bona fides about, kind of the expertise we bring to what we do here on the Rock Fight and Gear and Beer.
Yeah,
I know that rubbed Justin as particularly
I'm very offended. I'm super offended. The thing is, I've spent, I've spent a lot of my life has been built around, practicing my craft and getting better and getting to the point where I feel really confident and comfortable in what I do. It's a big deal to me. It's really important to me. And it's one of the things that people will often note about me. Like if we're, when they meet me for the first time and we're out kind of hanging out and shooting the shit, maybe shooting some basketballs in the street or tossing the ball back and forth. And they'll say,
"Are you talking about writing?"
No. His little quip at the beginning, there's a little metaphor about having weak sidearms, Colin. That's what I'm talking about. I don't give a shit if he questions our bona fides about in the outdoor space. Hey, whatever. But weak sidearm, I know it was a metaphor, but look, man.
We call it out for me for talking about hockey too. Justin can really throw. I saw when we were camping. He was picking targets on a cliff and winging rocks at it and nailing it every time. This is the
pride of my life. This is what I do. This is my real craft, is throwing things at other things. But also, the sidearm thing, what does he even mean, weak side? Is he saying sidearming is weak? I'm assuming it's a he.
And he called out your opinion on stirrups too, I believe.
What is wrong with that? Talk about subjective. You can't be wrong. Anyway, thanks for listening, dude.
All right, well, today we are, of course, going to run through some of the more notable or exciting headlines that come out of the outdoor industry and community. But before we get to that, got a few housekeeping items for you. So we want to make sure that, like this listener we just talked about, you as well follow and rate the Rock Fight wherever you're listening, whether that's on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any other podcast app. And if you are an Apple Podcast listener, please leave us a written review, because from now until the end of June, if you leave a written review and email us at myrockfight@gmail.com, we'll send you a Rock Fight or a Gear and Beer sticker. We did get an email from Tacoma Phil. He popped his head out of his Tacoma hole.
Super fan Tacoma Phil.
And he thinks he deserves a sticker without leaving a written review on Apple Podcasts.
Phil, as somebody who also has like a self-inflated sense of importance, I know where you're coming from with this. I do. You've been with us since day one.
He's been with us a long time.
We appreciate you. We love your emails. I don't know why you think you're better than our system, though, Phil. Just leave a review.
We don't make the rules. Yeah, these are the rules.
Apple makes us do that, by the way.
That's right. This is an Apple-sponsored program.
Yeah, if we don't get enough reviews and send stickers out, they're going to murder our families.
We'll send Phil a sticker. It's fine. Don't you think?
Well, yeah, maybe, but we're going to write.
Of course, now that I just set a precedent, then everybody will start emailing.
See, that's what I mean. No, there's nobody, you got to stop at the stop sign. You got to stop at the red light. You got to do everything everybody else does. We live in a society, Phil. And societies have rules.
We also want to talk about Gear and Beer, which now has its own podcast feed. Go and check out wherever you're listening to this podcast. You can find Gear and Beer. We're still going to tease Gear and Beer here on the Rock Fight for a little while, but eventually it's all going to be over on the solo Gear and Beer feed. It's the second podcast now, what we're calling the Rock Fight Podcast Network.
Yeah,
or network
just takes two.
That's all it takes. So go rate and follow Gear and Beer. And Justin, I'm just wondering, how can our listeners, how can they reach out? How can they follow along with what we're doing? What can they do?
Well, before we get to that, you get a sticker if you rate us on a Gear and Beer sticker if you rate us on. If you leave a review on Gear and Beer, we didn't say that, but we'll.
That's true. So
please.
anybody's already sent a written review for the Rock Fight,
go
do it on Gear and Beer, and
we
you'll
have
get another
different
sticker.
stickers. We have Gear and Beer stickers, and we have Rock Fight stickers. That's correct? And
that is correct.
And if you just please do that. It really does. It really, really, really does matter. both of us stay awake all night, like just
Clicking
staring
refresh.
at the yes, exactly, like clicking refresh constantly, just staring for new reviews, and then since we're both doing it all the time, we'll text each other at the exact same time. Did you see the new one? Our lives are that sad. Anyway,
They're pretty simple.
yeah, reach out to us. myrockfight@gmail.com is our email address. We love getting those all the time. You can hit us up on Instagram at rockfight.co. Tag us on stuff that you think is funny. Tag us on stuff you want us to review. Tag us on stuff that you think we would want to talk about in the headlines. All that kind of good stuff. And then you should absolutely subscribe to our newsletter. It's at rockfight.co, and you just join the mailing list. There's a nice button there you can click to do that. Comes out every Sunday. It's full of all kinds of fun things, and Sunday's a great day for to kick back. Maybe at the trailhead. Maybe you just back to your car after doing a nice hike, a nice paddle, a nice whatever you're doing, and you're just chilling out. That's a great time to read our weekly newsletter. So subscribe
Check out
to that too.
the latest action figure that we
Absolutely,
created.
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you know what, Justin?
What's that, Colin?
I asked you a question right as you took a sip of coffee.
Yeah, what's that, Colin?
Hey, Justin, you know what?
What, Colin? What?
It's June.
It is June. Yeah, I can tell because my
Summertime.
ass is sticking to my chair from sweat.
Is it humid up in the bay right now?
No, it
or?
doesn't get humid here, but it gets hot. It gets hot.
A little hot, a little
Yeah,
sticky
yeah,
out, a
yeah,
little
yeah.
warm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, so it's here. Summer is here, despite the time-sucking vampires that we both live with.
Our children?
Yes,
Yeah.
limiting how much stuff we get to do.
Definitely our
We're
children.
going to make some commitments today. About, when September hits, we're going to take a look back at these plans and see how we did. We're calling this More with Thermore, the segment sponsored by Thermore, the original ingredient brand.
OG.
Yes, who's now a partner here on the show.
How do you say that in
And,
Italian,
so-
I wonder? Original gangster in Italian.
I could say it with probably a pretty offensive Italian accent, so I'm
I'm
not going to do that.
I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. You continue with the read. I'm going to go.
No,
I'm going
Thermore
over to
is
Google
it's an
Translate.
Italian brand. They make incredible insulation products, and they're partnering with us here in this segment. We're calling More with Thermore. And for this edition, we're each going to list 3 things that we're going to plan to do over the summer.
Gangster originale?
Oh.
That's not very cool.
Figure we could have figured that one out on our own, probably.
Yeah.
So we're each going to list 3 things that we're going to do this summer to get back outside and do more than we normally do because our kids are always sucking up all of our time. So, do we want to go? You want to alternate, or do you want to give me your list?
No, you. Okay, I'll go first. You always go first. I'll go first. Okay.
Okay.
I'll just give you my full list.
Okay.
One, I'm gonna look at these again. I'm gonna say right now my success rate. I'm gonna predict it. I think I might do 33% of these things, and I don't know which. But the odds of me doing all 3 of these are almost nil. But we'll see.
There is a lot of good intentions in my list.
Oh man, I intend on doing all these things I could theoretically do all these in one day. Well,
That's
that's not true. It's actually geographically impossible. But yeah. All right. So the first one is, just go backpack with. God damn it! Just going backpacking with my kids. I still haven't done it.
Have you backpacked with your kids yet?
I still have not ever done that. No, my daughter's 5. My littler one is like 2 3/4 at this point. Maybe I just take one of them. The 5-year-old.
I was going to say, for the sake of the game, do we need both kids for this to be successful?
No, I would think
when
just
we
one.
reflect?
I think even just one.
Okay.
I mean, we go camping, but I still haven't gone backpacking yet, and I really thought that was going to be a huge. I guess maybe I should take the littler one because she's smaller. I can carry her stuff easier. But
I'd say take the 5-year-old
Yeah,
because
'cause
you
she
just do
can-
a one-nighter,
yeah, and she'll remember it and appreciate it more. She would absolutely love it. But I don't know why I haven't. It's just hard.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's a lot of work. But I've seen
It
people
is.
do it. I've seen people with freaking babies in 10 miles deep in the backcountry before. So that's my first one, and I think that's the one that's probably the most doable. Because my second one is just catch a goddamn fish in the West Walker River. The West Walker is where I fish every summer. It's a beautiful river coming out of it's kind of on the eastern side of the Sierra. It's up by Sonora Pass. Stunning place. You'd absolutely think you were in Montana if you went there, and they have some big trophy trout in there. And I've hooked a couple but not landed them. And every year I go and I'm just this is the year I catch some massive native brown trout, and I still haven't done it. But I'll start going up there in a few weeks. That's my number 2. And my number 3 is it's time for a surf trip, Colin. Don't you think it's time for me to go on a surf trip?
It's always time for you to go on a surf trip. But before you tell me about your surf trip,
Yeah.
what is it about the West Walker River? What you just never caught a fish there?
No, it's my favorite river. It's just a spectacular place to fish.
So you just want to make sure you have that
Yeah,
experience.
I fish there every year. But I'll catch fish around it. I'll catch fish in all the creeks around it, the lakes around it, whatever. But the West Walker,
Yeah.
if you don't fly fish, it's this is like a blue ribbon like fishery. It's all native fish. It's very clear water. Once it settles down, the water's super clear. It's like big natives hiding under cut banks, which is like a very specific kind of fishing. And I'm not quite talented yet enough to handle. I think with a guide I'd be fine, but this isn't you have to sneak up on them. You have to you really have to dial in what your presentation is like, and it's a beautiful place to fish. It's really really fun. And like I said, I've hooked up with a couple, but I haven't landed them. And that's a huge goal of mine. It's just it's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Nice.
Anybody in California that likes fishing, likes fly fishing, will know it. But it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. So go check it out.
All right, tell me about your surf trip. What do you want to do?
Last couple of years, I've planned on doing a surf trip to the East Cape of Baja, and for one reason or another, it hasn't panned out. And like with those Australian dudes getting murdered this last year in Baja, I just don't know if it's really worth doing. But I just got this amazing book. It's by it's a collection of essays from Scott Hewlett, who edited Surfer's Journal for a really long time, and he's still there as like a creative sort of advisor. But he's traveled extensively in Baja, and the book is just a collection of his essays from the Surfer's Journal about being in Baja. And nothing, man, you read that book and you're like, I got to go right now. I have to get down there. Like the if you haven't spent much time in Baja, it's just such a fascinating, unique place, and he captures it really, really well. He's a brilliant writer, and a lot of his time is spent on the East Cape, which is hard to get waves. Very fickle place, very unique in terms of the rest of Baja, and but when you score, you really score. And I need to get down there, man.
You just said a couple weeks ago that you're not going to go there anymore.
I know, but I want to so bad. It'd be fine. And most likely it would be fine. Of course, it would most likely be fine, but.
All right, so if you also want a sticker, also send your applications in for podcast host for the Rock Fight. We might be looking for somebody in a few months.
You might, yeah.
What's the time frame of something like that? I mean, in terms of like how long would you need to go?
Well, it depends.
No, but I mean, like, can you do it in a week?
Oh yeah, easy. The East Cape is sort of a strike mission place. You need like a very particular kind of storm. It's a real like this. It's in the Gulf of California, so it's like that narrow Gulf. So you have to have a storm track that's like focused right at it, and so you kind of just need to see that's setting up, and then you book it down there. But yeah, so
you're gonna fly down.
You have to fly down. You fly down to Cabo and then drive up. Yeah.
All right, so maybe the upside is 2 out of 3. Is likely.
2 out of 3.
I know you said 33.
Could easily happen, but the fish part is hard. I mean, I could try. I'll fish there a bunch, but like I don't know.
I like that you have a stretch goal in yours. I should have no problem doing anything on my list, but I'm sure that something will happen that I don't.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty easy. Like I really wanted to, especially now that school's out, and I kind of it's just so funny like those 2 breaks in the day of going to drop the kids off and pick them up, and how that can kind of just derail the fun parts of a day, right?
Yeah.
So, like next week, school's out, I'm going to be home. I want to start getting in some dawn patrols. So surfing twice a week.
Yep.
Like I could make it a much bigger goal. I really have the ability to go much more often. But I'm like, look, get in the water twice a week.
That's a good amount. That's a really good amount. That's the minimum, honestly. Like when you, if you're either like in your case, which you've been kind of a beginner surfer for a really long time, like, or even if you're like me and you've surfed for 30 years, like twice a week is kind of the minimum. Like it's the minimum to maintain your ability, and it's the minimum to not like go backward if you're still kind of getting the board under your feet. I surf about twice a month, so that's not great. But I have put enough time into where it is kind of like riding a bicycle for me. But it's still twice a week is ideal.
Yeah, I think if between now and the end of August I can average that, it kind of gets me back a little bit to where I was. But even then, like I'm just, and I guess the side note to that is to just not care as much. Like yesterday I got in the water and I was with my nephew who's visiting from Pennsylvania, and the waves were breaking bigger than I'm comfortable with. So I was just playing.
Thought you were so rad. They're from Pennsylvania.
He did actually have a great picture of us. Yeah. It was great. But I'm like, I'm just going to play in the whitewash with him. And then I did catch one wave, which I wasn't expecting to do. And I was like, and because I wasn't out there, like, oh, why can't I do this anymore? And I suck and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, hey, okay, I got this one. And boom, caught a wave. And I'm like, this was great. Thank you. And so that's twice a week, get in the water, get on the board. Right. The second thing I want to do is mountain bike Noble Canyon, which is kind of it's an INBA Epic. Well, the INBA Epic is cool. It's a larger loop from Cuyamaca to Laguna.
Where is this? Where is this? Can you describe where this is?
This is Cleveland National Forest. This is
so
east.
In Ohio, right smack in the middle of Ohio. Right on the Cuyahoga, whatever it's called, river.
it's known as a downhill, the Noble Canyon Trail. And then you can make a loop out of it climbing up the road. A lot of people shuttle. So my goal is like, no, I'm not going to shuttle. It's a 20-mile loop. Apparently it's an epic trail. I don't know. I don't know if the Noble Canyon Trail is an epic or if it's the link up between Laguna and Cuyamaca. That's the epic, but whatever. I wanted to do this trail since I moved here. I haven't done it yet. So I want to do that this summer, which will then get me on my bike more. And then my last one is just sleeping outside a minimum of 3 nights more. I've already done 2 nights when you and I were out, so getting 5 nights for the summer would be good for me. It's not that I want to sleep outside. It doesn't sound like a big goal. I tend to avoid going camping.
Yeah, because you hate camping.
I'm not a big fan. But if I know that if I say 3 nights, that's at least 3 one-night camping trips with my kids where we'll have a really good time and we'll all go camping, or one 2-night and one solo, whatever it is. But I want to get out 3 nights sleeping outside between now and August.
You ever think about how you kind of always are sleeping outside? I mean, yeah, you have like a roof over your head, but it's just like a thicker tent.
It's true.
You know? I mean,
yeah, with air conditioning.
We're still like it may yeah. I mean, it seems like you're in this, I don't know, something that really isolates you and separates you from the outside world. But are you?
All right, so today's episode of The Rock Fight is presented by the original ingredient brand Thermore, who wants you to get more out of your outdoor adventures with products like Eco Down, which is a sustainable synthetic alternative to down, and available in products like the Stio Skycrest jacket.
Which looks dope, by the way.
It's a sick jacket, yeah. Perfect for cool summer evenings in the mountains. And you know why? Because of Thermore Eco Down.
Because of Thermore Eco Down. I was going to, yeah. I thought I knew that, but I was embarrassed. I wasn't sure if I get the right answer.
So do more in the outdoors this summer like Justin and I are going to do with Thermore.
Do you think that like one person came up with the term shacket once?
That's a great
also,
question. What is the etymology of the word shacket?
Because every brand uses it. Did they also workshop jert?
Yeah, that one doesn't work.
It doesn't, because it's not as obvious. Shacket is very clear. But jert should be a word.
It's like jorts, right? I think
jorts is very obvious.
Right. Shacket is one. The first time I heard it, I knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, but a jert, I'd be like a jert. A jert almost sounds like, I don't know why, but it sounds like a codpiece type thing. It sounds like something you would wear in your nether regions area. Don't forget your jert.
Your jert.
Ooh, I don't want to wear somebody else's jert.
Is that like the combo cup and jock? Like, kind of something like
that,
right?
Could be, yeah, jert.
Yeah. The jert. Make sure you're protecting the things with your jert.
Yeah, shacket's a better word.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to get into headlines. This episode is brought to you by Switchback Spring, the new outdoor industry gathering for education, networking, and business. Coming to Nashville, June 2025.
That's Nashville, Nevada?
Dude,
Nashville,
it's
Oregon.
Tennessee, obviously.
I've never heard of it.
Connect with peers and players in gear, footwear, apparel, hiking, camping, trail running, and more for 3 days of learning, discovery, and celebration. You got a joke there?
No.
Switchback Spring is the new go-to meetup for specialty retailers, brands, media, and outdoor organizations.
Real quick, Switchback Spring does sound like a really potentially good like outdoor scent. Like a deodorant? Like a deodorant. Flavor? I'm actually gonna, as soon as we're done here, I'm gonna buy that URL. Oh, they probably already own it. Dang it. For like a backpacking specific deodorant. I think there's something there.
You could launch it at Switchback.
I think I will.
Mark your calendars for June 16 to 18, 2025. Visit switchbackevent.com for all of the details and start planning your new outdoor industry adventure.
And don't forget to wear your Switchback Spring deodorant, which will be available at all the finest, crunchiest, granola-iest natural food stores coming 2025 if I can get my act together.
All right, our first story today, per Gear Junkie. Earlier this week, Red Bull put out a short statement teasing that women may finally be able to compete at Rampage, the famous difficult and dangerous free-ride mountain bike event held in October in Virgin, Utah. The statement simply read, "The women are in Red Bull Rampage." Last year, Red Bull received plenty of criticism from our community when, despite mounting pressure to do so, Rampage still did not feature any female riders at the time. Red Bull put out a statement that said, I'm quoting this here, "Red Bull Rampage is the most difficult free-ride mountain bike competition in the world. For this reason, a selection panel invites the best 18 riders to globally compete. We are exploring with industry experts on how we might develop a women's category at Red Bull Rampage."
That is a well thought out little presser blurb there.
We know we did it wrong.
Yeah. Like they're trying to say, like a selection panel invites the best 18 riders globally. So they're kind of trying to say, like, look, like it doesn't really matter if they're like
there's no
women.
gender bias here.
Yeah.
If you're one of the best 18, you're going to be included.
Right.
So, but I mean, still like a little tone deaf, right? So this is definitely overdue. You love to see it. I don't know. What were your thoughts when you saw this?
That surfing probably set the tone here. I mean, in all honesty, I mean the
big wave,
yeah, like big wave
surfers,
like the women participants in big wave surfing really wrestled control of that from the powers that be in the big wave surf competition world, and it's been pretty cool. I mean, so I think this is pretty unique. I mean, the WSL, the governing body of surfing, like pays the women now the same as the men in terms of prize money, which is like a big deal. And that's kind of separate from the big wave surfing category. But, the big wave surfers, the women big wave surfers of the world, like really aggressively kind of put everybody on blast. Like it's insane that we're not being invited. We're surfing Mavericks. Yep, right. We're doing that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Rampage is a little different because you just sort of show up and build your line and ride it. I presume women probably were already doing that. Like I would think.
Sure.
But the big wave world is like you can't really deny that. Like we're out there. We're doing it. And so there's been some competitions that actually don't even separate gender with big wave competitions, but for the most part they do. But I have to think that has something to do with this. That that Red Bull saw. I mean, Red Bull has big wave surfing athletes. They probably saw that and said, like, what's like? I don't understand why you would keep women from doing it. Like, I don't.
I don't either. I mean, and they obviously got a lot of flack last fall when they didn't allow it last year. I don't really even understand the statement. Like, we have the best 18 riders. Like you said, they're sort of saying like, if you're the best 18, you're going to get invited regardless of gender. It's like, this is your event. You can create the rules. You can be like, hey, we're changing it. Now it's 9 and 9. The best 9 men and the best 9 women. Exactly. That's what we're doing now. Yeah, just make the change.
It's weird that you wouldn't. I mean, to me,
it's so dumb.
To me, it's the idea that it's just like peer on peer best in the world. That's fine. But there's so have the best 9 men and the best 9 women. I mean, why wouldn't you? Every other sport does that. Like, I don't. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me. They're not. Is also just such a slap in the face to half of your like fan base. It makes absolutely
totally.
You're obviously your kids are all girls. Mine are too, and it is amazing watching things with my daughter, the 5-year-old, because if I have surfing on, she'll immediately say, "Dad, I want to watch the one with the girls." Every single time. And with baseball, Dad, like I'll be watching a Dodger game. Dad, can we watch a baseball game with girls? And I'll have to explain, well, we can watch softball, which for absolutely no fucking reason is what women play versus men for the most part. Yeah. Although a woman did just start or play in a college game for the first time a few days ago. She was a pitcher, a semi-pro game maybe, which like struck out the side. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't understand why it ever seemed like a good idea other than it being like an old boys club, just a bunch of dudes that put it together and they just like picked their bros, I don't know.
It's another good example of just how far we still have to go. I mean, this is like people back in the day, or probably even still today, being like, "Well, we can't create a black Santa Claus because Santa Claus is white."
Yeah, this is how it's been done. This is what people expect.
So it's like, little black kids, when they see the black Santa, like, "Oh my God, that looks like me." How stoked would they be, right? I mean, like it's just like, and it's like the dumbest thing. Like you're getting people getting so principled over stuff that we've made up.
Also, it's insane.
This is all stuff
like
that
writing,
we made up.
Writing the lines on the Red Bull Rampage is already a totally insane thing to do.
It's insane.
It's not like there's logic.
If you're willing to do it, you should just be allowed to do it.
Speaking of which, what would it take? What would it take, Colin, to get you on a bike to ride one of those lines? Even if you can, I mean, I guess you make up your own line, but I'm sure picking the easiest possible line is still. I would die.
It would literally be the threat of like, if you don't do it, we're going to kill you. So like your best chance is to try to ride this where you might die anyway.
There's no like positive motivation, like $10 million, $20 million.
Well, there's a number for everything, right? At some point,
I don't know though, because I know for a fact I couldn't do it.
That's a good point.
I'm like, there's a pretty good chance. Like, is it worth? I think about the end scene in Office Space all the time where the guy got hit by a truck or whatever, and he's all stoked because he doesn't ever have to work again. Yeah, it's like I wouldn't trade walking, I don't think, for anything, but breaking all my bones and knowing that I eventually will heal again, it's like, yeah, that's probably worth $20 million.
Probably. Let me ask you this. So you're on record as a pretty much lifelong surfer, as not interested in big wave surfing and how terrifying that is. Would you rather go like surf like Jaws or Nazare or ride a line at Red Bull Rampage?
What a good question. What would be scarier? Holy shit.
I can't even answer this question.
What a great... Well, this is interesting because I think about this quite a bit where surfing is so goddamned hard. I often think, okay, I've surfed for about 30 years at this point. I've been riding a mountain bike very seriously for roughly a decade. I'm probably a better mountain biker than I am a surfer.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That makes sense.
Or maybe I'm on the same. I might be on the same. Might be about the same. Surfing, I think. I think I would surf.
Really? Because I think, well,
you're
probably less likely to die on
I'm
surfing.
far less likely to die. I think it would be scarier in some ways, but
Yeah.
no, I have a better chance. I mean, I physically can. My body knows what to do. I think it depends on how big the wave is, but like I could surf Mavericks. I have the ability to surf Mavericks at like not horrifying size, but I wouldn't even do the babiest, littlest part of any of the Rampage lines. So I guess surfing.
I guess it depends on how much time you have, because if it could literally be like hire me a coach and someone could actually teach me like the stuff that like the mountain bikers do at Rampage, like to start learning actually to jump. Like, I don't jump anything. I'm like, I keep your wheels on the ground.
Yeah,
guy, you know, like, so if you could get coached up, you spend a year working with somebody.
My palms are sweaty, by the way. Like I took that question very seriously. I can't, hypotheticals I get very serious about, but my God.
If you went with our skills sitting here today, it's a different answer than if you could coach me up.
Yeah, but that's a different question. Like just like today, right now, no. I guess I would be very terrified of both and would do everything I possibly could to get out of doing either one. But I would end up choosing to start. I mean, it's like they're going like beyond vertical when they're going down somehow. I don't know what's happening. I don't understand the physics. I don't know how they stop. Like I wouldn't know what to do. I don't think they're choosing their brakes. Like they're doing other things. Like. I feel like there's things on a bike that maybe these people know how to do that I don't. It wouldn't even occur to me. Oh, you have to like shift your weight here and do this, or else you will pitch forward and fall like 500 feet to your death.
With my limited experience with zero experience with anything that anybody at Rampage does, and my incredibly limited experience still in the water, I still might choose the surfing and throw caution that way, because I have a tough time if like it's a narrow man-made obstacle, like a little ramp or something like that. That I don't like that. And now you're on something that wide, but it's dirt. And there's drop-offs on either side of you, I just don't think I could do it. I think I would panic immediately at Rampage.
Panic would be the main issue for either of them. And I think I would probably vertigo myself into a terrible situation on the bike. But I could probably like... It's also like if you're surfing like Jaws or something, it's beautiful. You know, so there's a slight chance that you might... be like, yeah, the water's 75 degrees. I have an inflation vest.
Like, the question is, where do you want to die? What are you going to be looking at when you die?
True. I mean, I'd rather. Oh, that's a good. I think I'd rather die falling than I would drowning. So that's a good point. If you're really looking at it like from the pessimist point of view, like I'd rather just fall and break my neck instantly than go over the falls and be like panicking to surface and not
drown or be paralyzed because maybe you don't die at Rampage. You know.
Well, you know what?
We're never gonna know.
Never gonna know.
All right. Well, I got off on a tangent, but congratulations to the women. I definitely, criticism is earned, I think, on Red Bull for how they've handled this historically. At the same time, excited to see it when it does take off this fall.
Well, there also hasn't been a lot of information about it, by the way. Like I went to Pink Bike to read about it, and it's like, hey, they're going to be in it. It's like, oh, at what level? One of them? Two people? Like I still don't know what's going on.
We created this little kiddie course over here. You can ride that.
Yeah.
Like it's a completely fail. October, I believe. Yeah.
We should go.
All right, next story. Well, actually, we have a couple of tech-related stories this week. The first one, you sent this one over to me. Gear Junkie earlier this week published a review of the Coast RL35R.
Another one of your favorite naming conventions there. Just the random string of letters and numbers. It's like someone's internet password got into the naming of some of these products.
Right? You couldn't put like the Coast headlamp like talkie or something?
Anyway,
something. So it's a headlamp that responds to voice commands. And apparently you say the name of the brand, Coast, and then you fill in the command. So like on, off, red, blue, or whatever, and then the thing does what you tell it to do. According to Sean McCoy, who wrote the review for Gear Junkie, it works really well. It is a solidly built headlamp and a good price at $60. I generally hate voice command stuff. You know,
you do. I'm a big fan of like Siri and stuff in the house, but you hate it. You always make fun of me when you hear me doing it.
I guess I don't mind it, especially in the car when I'm like, you have CarPlay on and it's like you want to respond to like text messages and stuff like that. It's getting better.
Yeah.
Or if I'm out like on a hike and you just have my AirPods on, like it's definitely better than it used to be. But if like you and I were camping, like we were on a camping trip a couple weeks ago, and you woke me up in the middle of the night because you're like Coast on because you're trying to find your headlamp, I'd be so pissed off at you.
I was thinking about being at a campground and you just hear like a chorus in the background all the time. Coast on, off, Coast, blue, red, blue, pulse, Coast, off. Just silent, just constantly the entire time, assuming everybody in the campground owns one, of course.
The best part was Sean McCoy, who wrote the article, talking about his buddies basically fucking with him. Like they're like, Coast off.
Of course.
And he's like, what?
Like out taking a leak.
Like, you have good friends, Sean. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah, of course. Anytime
I
my
don't know,
wife
this
picks
just-
up the phone, I'm just like saying very like obscene things to Siri to see if it'll like get her browsing history all screwed up.
This just seems like every product should have a problem to solve, I feel like, from an outdoor perspective. And this doesn't seem like this is a problem that needs
Have
to be
you
solved.
ever once been like, oh shit, I can't touch my headlamp?
No.
That's never happened.
That's what I mean. Like, there's a disabled element to this that I get. That makes sense. But
sure.
even then, they said there's still a button on it to actually start it. So you still have to press a button to turn it on.
Wait, what? Are you fucking
That's what it said
serious?
in the article, yeah. There's still a button to turn it on, but then you can use voice
So it
commands.
actually adds complication. Because my headlamp, you push the button, it goes on. You push the button, it goes off. It's already on or off.
I just don't think we need everything to be easy. This is just a thing where, like, oh yeah, sometimes you cycle through too many times and now you get your headlamps flashing. But you know what you do? Then you push the button again.
Well, I guess there are times where I try voice commands, even though I know that it doesn't actually work. Like, because for some reason, I feel like headlamps, they're very intuitive until you start to get to the other things that they can do. And you're like, oh, I'll just turn it on, I'll turn it off. I think if I hold it down, maybe it'll get brighter. But then sometimes it turns red. You're like, oh, okay. Then you push it again. Now it's red flashing. And then at that point, the voice commands start, the hopeful voice commands, like, turn the fuck off, and like, obviously that doesn't work.
You're just yelling
That
at your
maybe
headlamp.
maybe that was the impetus behind it. But let's let's run through some use case scenarios.
Okay.
Say you're coming back to camp, right? And it's gotten dark and your arms are full because you are carrying, a lost hiker that you found on the trail. You're carrying them back to camp. And you
Sure.
can't set them down and turn your headlamp on, and now you're losing your trail, so you gotta turn your headlamp on. I mean that happens to us all the time.
So these are like nightly,
Or like
so you're-
Gulliver's Travels. Remember Gulliver's Travels, where like
Yeah.
he gets tied down by the little people,
right.
and like you have your headlamp on, you can't reach it, and you know that maybe turning on the headlamp will blind them or somehow incapacitate them, but you can't because your hands are tied down. Boom.
That makes a lot of sense.
So that's it. Those are the only two I can think of.
Because the headlamp's too big for the Lilliputians to take the headlamp off.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Is there a real application here? Is there a real use case that we can think of? Or like, actually, that'd be pretty awesome to have. Like, I'm being genuinely sincere.
I just have no, like, it makes sense to me that I can walk into my house and say, Siri, play Calexico or whatever.
That makes
without
sense.
having to like go to a stereo and like turn it on and push 5 buttons. Or I can be in the other room and decide I don't want to hear it anymore and yell at it. Love it. I've thought about that since I was a little kid. I've never once been like, it's too hard for me to, what if you had like T-Rex arms? That would suck.
Okay. That's what I mean.
People with
Disabilities
abnormally,
make sense.
yeah. But I mean, is that maybe that's a much bigger market than I thought. I don't know.
I just want to hear the pitch meeting of like, they're inside, like, hey, we want to do some voice command technology with our outdoor gear. Like, what do we think we want to work on? And they're like, headlamps.
You know what? I can think of way better uses for that. They're like sleeping bag, where you're just like, you get inside, you're like, zip, and it just zips you
Yeah,
up.
it'd be like Marty McFly's shoes and Back to the Future
Totally.
too.
Yeah, that would be cool. Or like same thing with a tent. Tent doors open. Just bzzz, like,
Yeah, or
let's get on.
Tent set up.
Can we get on that, please?
Yeah. What other? Okay. There's really the question. Like, what are some things that we should have voice command for?
Yeah, that would be great. Fire start.
Yep.
Well, I like building fires. But
Beer open.
yeah.
I kind of like opening beers.
Fish bite. All these
Yeah,
things.
that's right. Colin to the summit.
I love the idea of like tent doors opening and closing. That'd be great.
I like that. I like your sleeping bag one too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could just become a Jedi and do all that sort of shit.
So our next bit of tech news, Justin's favorite publication this week, Athletic News,
Athletic.
reported that wearable tech maker Fitbit is releasing a new wearable for kids. The $230 Fitbit Ace LTE is a connected smartwatch for kids 7 and up that promotes physical activity while also keeping them connected to their families. The device will motivate kids by providing games that are unlocked by physical activity. The more a kid does, the more games they receive. So I'm mostly a tech defender. I don't like being the doomsday person who's like, tech and social media.
I'll be that person.
Yeah. This thing is just a disgrace to me. This is totally the children are rats who are pumping the morphine drip. Like, give me more. Oh, you want more games? You got to go run around a little bit. Go, give me more. I'm really angry about this one.
So the other day I was walking around and I live like a block away from a Montessori preschool.
Yeah.
And a woman came out, and I was just kind of curious because I'm in a position where I might want to switch preschools for one of my kids. And I was just like, hey, how much you guys pay? And she told me the absurd amount because this is the Bay Area and it's hilariously high. Like I'd never have paid rent that much in my life, I don't think. And she was saying that she likes it because the other two preschools in town that she had her kids go to were too play oriented. The kids did too much playing outside. Like too much unstructured
these are preschools.
time.
These are like
playing.
daycares and preschools, basically.
Yes, and I
the phase of a child's life when all they typically are doing is playing because they're learning through that play.
So much from it, yes. Yeah. And I remember I've read this before. That this is a thing with some parents where they like want their kids to already have some scholastic training when they're like 1 and 2 years old. And I remember just thinking, well, I'm definitely never coming here. I'd literally rather my kids just run around the street all day. Like that's what they should be doing.
Yes.
I'm horrified by this, Colin. I'm horrified by this. And it's not even so much I'm horrified by this in lots of ways. I mean, I'm really moving down the I don't want to ever be tracked where I go anywhere place. I'm I don't use Strava anymore, and that's not why. I don't track any of my outdoor stuff, as you know, mostly because I'm a Luddite, but also because I can't be bothered to. That's just a complication.
It's another
I don't
thing.
need.
Yeah, I get
and
that.
it doesn't really add anything to my day or my experience being outside and doing things. And frankly, we literally did all these things for modern humans have existed for about 150, 200,000 years without ever fucking knowing any of this shit, and we were just fine. So I don't. Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. This is insane to me for two reasons. One, I don't want my kids feeling like playtime is a thing that needs to be like measured or calculated or that you've done
rewarded.
it enough or that you've done it or that you've done it too little. I mean, I think one of the major problems that we have in this country is trying to quantify every fucking thing as if there's like a better way to do it or something like that. Like my kids are 3 and 5. They don't need to know what time it is. They don't need to know what day it is. They don't need to know jack shit. I don't want them thinking that they have or haven't ran enough in a day or whatever. Like that just seems like it's setting you up to be a monumentally confused adult. Also, I hate the idea that like kids need to be connected to me all the time. I don't want to know where they are. Like we live where we live on purpose because there's neighbors all over the place on this little street. And with the front door is open, I don't know where my fucking kids are. They're in the backyard, front yard. They might be the neighbor's house. I don't know.
Right.
That's good. I like that. I hate all of this.
When I say I'm like usually a tech defender because I think it's like there's.
Well, you have those right now. You have you have like the
the Apple,
what was that?
The Apple Vision Pro.
No, that guy Lando Calrissian's buddy on the Cloud City of Bespin. I forget his name.
It's shaved my head.
Yes, and you have like the permanent headphones.
It's just like it's on. Stitched in. I'm getting ahead of what Elon's got planned for us, but
right.
When I say that, it's mostly because I think it's really easy. For history, you go back and look at anything new comes out, and there's the people like, oh my God, this is going to ruin everything, and then everything kind of works out to be fine, right? And there's definitely huge advancements that need to be figured out and managed, and we have a lot coming up that needs to be figured out and regulated, and I am not unaware of that, but also ignores some of the benefits that come with that. I feel like we're overall in a better place with a lot of the technology we have these days, and. When I see this, though, it's like part of that is teaching kids responsibly about how to use this, of how to integrate it, because it's not going away.
Oh yeah, okay,
right?
No, that's true. That's
right?
Okay. That's actually a good argument, and one that my wife makes all the time when she hears me just ranting and about this sort of thing.
And the answer for both things is you're right and she's right as well, right? Like your concerns aren't invalid; they are. They're completely to be. And I think this one leans completely into what you're saying because it's like, listen, the social thing with technology and phones with kids is real. I've gone through it with my kids. They have to learn how to use it. That's on me to teach them, right? And I also don't want them to be left out. So guess what? They're going to get a phone. But also, I have to manage that. Just like my parents had to manage how much I played video games. Just like their parents probably had to manage how much they listened to the radio. It's all kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And Sort of. I'm not saying that the downsides of all those things are equal. But when it comes to something like this, it's like, what are we doing? Like, what? This isn't teaching them anything other than, I get to play more games when I go do push-ups.
Right. It's teaching you. It's like it feels like it's getting the grind set mentality, burning my kids. I don't want that.
I don't see the upside of that. And then on the other side, like Fitbit, you're a second-rate technology company, relatively speaking. I mean, there's some, there's like, I don't really understand, like, you're not going to be the draw. Kids aren't going to be going, oh my God, I got to get the Fitbit with the games on it.
No, but I could see parents doing that. I mean, I could easily see that.
But that's a problem in itself because the parents who do that are the ones who were adverse to getting the kid like the iPhone or the Apple Watch. So like, this will be the solve for that.
Is this like a genius bit of like just cementing brand awareness or whatever to the really young kids that they're always going to want? I think it sounds
desperate. Like everyone's forgetting about us who are older.
That they're always going to want to have something that's like tracking what they're doing. Yeah.
It's just an absolute L, I feel like, on every level, from a brand strategy,
I'm sure it'll
from
sell
a
well.
product.
I bet it sells really well. I mean, I think it will.
I think the mom that you dealt with at that school, she's the type that would buy it. And then they'll still end up getting the kid an Apple Watch like a year later.
We found these free, like, pretend smartwatches on the in a free pile a few weeks back.
Mm-hmm.
They look like Apple Watches, and they have like a touch screen. They have a little tiny horrible camera on them, all this sort of stuff. We're like, oh, the girls will love this. This will be so cute. Plugged them in, turned them on, gave it to them. Within 30 seconds, we looked at each other like, what the fuck are we doing? Like they're just like staring at it, just like beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, I didn't even think, honestly, I thought they'd maybe leave my phone alone for 5 minutes. Like it hadn't even occurred to me.
No, there's something said for how do we balance like our own insecurities with it? Because like I have to, oftentimes, if I see my kids like sitting there just like looking at their phone, I have to like, hold on, what else have they done this week and today? Right? It's like everybody had lessons. Everyone rode horses. They all went out and they went on bike rides with their friends. They went and they went to school and they had an hour of PE every day. Like, you know what? It's okay. That would have been me like just sitting in my room reading comic books and like listening to music. And that, again, not a one-for-one comparison, but there are the people that shouldn't be on.
You were in Pennsylvania. Going outside was very dangerous.
Because it was humid.
Humid and just gloomy and just not that cool. You may as well be inside.
It was so much cooler when you grew up.
I feel, like there's times where I'm open-minded about this kind of thing.
Right,
and,
me too.
I've experimented. I mean, I do own an Apple Watch Ultra, which I don't use anymore. Even though it's a very good piece of equipment and there's lots of cool things about it, but I'm going to take a firm stand on this and we don't need this. We just 100%. Don't need this. We don't need to do this. I more and more every day feel good about my stance of just no electronics in the backcountry if I can get away with it. I'll bring an inReach. I use Gaia on my phone, but honestly, not that much. Most of the time, I'm using an actual map or just my own brain. We don't have to. You don't think we don't have to acquiesce. We don't have to. You don't have to do it. Like it feels like you have to. It feels like you feel like if you don't, you're gonna be. You don't have to.
You don't have to.
And you'll be better off if you don't. I mean, how many of us just the other day? I was walking down the street talking to my neighbor, and there's just like nonstop construction going on, and he's on his phone doing some sort of business deal, and I'm taking a break from writing all day, and we both look at each other like, how much would you rather be swinging hammers over there, right now, than just like staring at a goddamn
another
screen
Office
all day?
Space reference, right?
We all know this intrinsically, so we don't have to acquiesce.
Last thing, the cicadas are coming out, man. Have you heard about the cicadas?
I've heard about the cicadas, but only heard about them because I live on the West Coast.
Yeah. So they, every summer, apparently, it is relatively normal for them to come out someplace because it's 16 or 17-year cycle the cicadas emerge. But in
How cool is it that someone's keeping track of that? That someone looked back and like, okay, wait a minute, they came out 17 years ago. I mean, it's great. I mean, it probably was it's probably like in the fall. Is that kind of thing in the Farmer's Almanac?
Maybe.
I need to start getting those.
Which is funny. Actually, pretty fun. But the article about the reference talks about how they don't really know what the cicadas are doing when they're underground, yet they still know when they come. They're obviously tracking enough over time that they know when they're going to come out. So I would like to know the science behind the cicada. What's happening with cicadas?
Is there a worse word in terms of making you feel kind of creepy crawly in this situation than brood?
Oh, the worst.
I mean, brood's a pretty good word. Like I'm going to brood over this for a while or whatever, but like a brood of like insects.
Cicada brood is a horror movie title.
Hundreds of millions of them just underground, just
waiting
like
to come out.
Completely impenetrable. Like we have no idea what they're doing or thinking or if they're even, I mean, holy smokes. This is like Lovecrafty and gross, scary to me.
Well, the reason we're talking about this is because in Illinois this year, there are 2 broods of cicadas that are emerging simultaneously for the first time. This is the first time this happened in 200 years.
This might be civilization ending.
Could be.
We don't know.
Are cicadas locusts? Are they the same?
I don't have any yet. What do I look like?
They've got to be at least related, I would think.
They got to be. Yeah.
So literally trillions of bugs that are this loud buzzing sound, which is a mating call, so they can mate and then go back underground.
That's how
and they're
I do
coming
it.
out en masse to engage with the folks in the Midwest. You said actually an article over, which was really fascinating to read about it. But then if you look on things like TikTok and Instagram Reels, I mean, it's like cicada TikTok is like popping off right now. Like everybody's posting videos about the cicadas.
I would like to get to TikTok just for this because the videos that you sent me are insane. These bugs are huge.
But the best is like there's the people, I told you about the one I saw where there's a woman with literally a bag over her head who's afraid to run to her house because of all the bugs that are out there.
I love bugs. I can't imagine it being scary to me.
Bugs
Unless
are so
they're biting
cool.
you. Yeah.
Well, then there's another woman who's like holding one and talking very gently about this is a cicada. This is what we're dealing with. And you can see the wings. And I'm going to put this guy back outside now.
Should we be capitalizing on this and like making cicada flour?
Is that a thing?
Well, like cricket flour. That's what we're all supposed to eat, right? Like eventually, because the liberals are going to take all the meat. Us liberals are going to take all the meat away or whatever. So like we're going to force everyone to eat crickets, right? You know, this is like a big.
Is this a conspiracy theory that's happening?
Oh yeah,
right now?
big time. Yeah. That we're going to make everybody eat crickets because beef is bad for the planet. So, but why aren't we just?
Do crickets taste good? Because I'm okay with that if it tastes good. If a cricket burger tastes, I think I had one at like the Mariners have the thing where you can get the crickets, you can buy them. I've had that.
It tastes like they're like popcorn.
So a cricket burger tastes pretty good.
I think if you could shut the part of your brain off that made you realize you're eating ground up crickets. I mean, what's the difference between eating a ground up cricket burger and eating like a crab cake?
Yeah, right.
So I don't,
It's all
I'm open-minded about it. I feel like you and I should be in Illinois now with like giant nets, just capturing all these things, and then starting like a frozen cricket burger company.
No, but then the other liberals will come after us because now we're not going to have enough cicadas and we're going to like decimate the species, right? Because they only come out once every 17 years.
Sounds like there's plenty. Yeah, that's true.
We have to follow the different broods around every year and collect.
Brood.
This is also where I will defend living in modern times where we know stuff. Because you imagine like 500-600 years ago, and you're just like hanging out and obviously wouldn't be like a white person hanging out in Illinois that long ago. But you're like walking along, the earth opens up and these things. How could you not think that God was just taking you all away?
I think things may have made more sense though. Back
just
then.
The simplicity of it.
Kind of. It's like, I don't know.
Pissed off God again.
It's like that. You know what? Honestly, that makes it just as much sense as these fucking broods of insects that, for whatever reason, every 17 years come out and just like okay, whatever.
Tornado hits on the same day as the cicadas come out. You're like, Jesus, we did something wrong.
Nice, tidy explanation for everything. That sounds nice. They're not like researching it. They're just like, well, I don't know. The smartest guy I know says it's this, so it's clearly that's what it is.
All right, man. Well, I guess we could wrap it up there. What else is going on? Anything?
I got a big music festival in town, Colin.
Did the Outside Festival go on tour?
Yep, they're here. Yep, me and Wes Seiler are hanging out, talking about trucks all weekend long at this at the debate stage. If you want to check it out.
Is this do people come from like other towns to hang out?
Yes,
okay.
I will spend most of my weekend. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. I should be surfing and hiking and riding bikes. I will spend most of my weekend yelling at people that they can't park on my side of the street.
That was my next question. Is your parking situation on your street?
Yeah, so yesterday I went out and got a big giant piece of orange poster board, and I will be attaching it to one of those like orange and white like sandwich boards that you see, like every construction company has that they put in the street, to like tell you no parking or whatever, on the end of the road. And hopefully that works this year because last year there's nothing you could do to keep people like one person parks on this side and then everyone thinks they can park here and then you can't like leave because it's like a narrow road, so like there's not really room to drive in between the cars. So.
Is there a movie in there where like when you start doing these things like it accelerates your aging, where like you're like get off of my yard.
I mean, it wasn't like that. There was like a Tom Hanks movie like this like a year or two ago, but he like softened. So but I agree, it would be
A Man Called Otto.
Yeah, exactly. But it would be kind of cool if it was just like
you're turning into Otto.
Like I was just 30 years old, and like a year later I'm 80 because I'm just yelling at people to stop parking here. But that's my weekend.
All right, The Rock Fight is a production of Rock Fight LLC. Our producer today is David Karstad, who's the guy who makes all the action figures. That's the guy.
Yeah, that's the guy.
For Justin Hausman, I'm Colin Truth. Thanks for listening, and here to take us out is Krista Makes. He's going to sing the Rock Fight fight song, and we'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Bye-bye.
Rock Fight.